All right, this is Dustin Baker on VikesNow, the Tuesday, June 14th edition. While I was on vacation, towards the end of it, there were miniature rumblings about Baker Mayfield potentially winding up with the Minnesota Vikings. My assessment of when, like the trade this summer or in the future, I'm a little unclear on that. It seems like folks have different interpretations of when that might be. But regardless, we're going to talk about it. I think it was born officially from Dan Graziano of ESPN, who, in an article about NFL doings and happenings, put together a short list of spots where Baker Mayfield could land. And on that list was the New Orleans Saints because of Jameis Winston's is he or isn't he a franchise quarterback. Jared Goff, for some reason, they're sticking stubbornly to that experiment in Detroit, probably biding their time for this upcoming draft in next March. And then, boom, the Vikings are on there, and his explanation seemed to imply that Mayfield could wait behind Cousins for a year, and then when they're done with Cousins, here you go, here's Baker Mayfield. So that would imply that a trade would be required. So I'm going to give you a few reasons why I don't really get this. The first, and the shining billboard reason why this doesn't make sense is money. You and your pals already at times think Kirk Cousins is overpaid. Well, maybe not all of you, but that's the consistent and constant debate about Kirk Cousins is on any given Sunday. He's usually about the 10th to 13th best quarterback in the league, but per average annual salary, he is the 8th highest paid, and then per cap hit this year, he's the 4th highest paid. We spend all this time writing, debating, tweeting about whether or not Kirk Cousins is good because of that financial variance between his paycheck versus his production. So $35 million per season. That's the Cousins fair market value, according to Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Cousins' agent. Baker Mayfield will make, $18.8 million on his final year of his rookie contract in 2022. You must explain to me how the Vikings have that type of money laying around if they want to onboard Baker Mayfield for the future or to push Kirk Cousins to the limit this summer. The Vikings' cap space isn't horrible right now. Let's have a parade about that. But it's not $18 million. So they'd have to get super creative, restructuring deals, and then jaunt into a season of a first-year head coach with a quarterback controversy, paying those dudes a collective $53.8 million. Does that make sense to you? If it does, boom, we can trade for Baker Mayfield and have the best backup quarterback on the planet. If $53.5 million is too much, the phantom money that have to be discovered to swing this trade, then it doesn't make sense. And I'm here to bang this table that it doesn't add up because the Vikings aren't swimming in cap space, nor should they be excited to spend $53.8 million on the combo of Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield. Yuck. Why? It doesn't show advanced level thinking to hypothesize the trade theory. If the Vikings had monies galore, just gobs coming out their ears, then perhaps, maybe. All right, after that, I only got 4 reasons. This might be a shorty episode. Here's the deal. Baker Mayfield, fabulous trajectory in 2018, like the 2 weeks leading up to the draft. All of a sudden, he became the first overall pick. I couldn't believe it. The draft type got there. And bless his heart, he got acclimated to the Browns' offense early on when Tyrod Taylor was hurt. Poor guy is always the constant patch over at quarterback. And then he played well. He progressed decently. He's got a big arm. He's a firebrand. He looked like a guy that could stabilize the Browns organization, which has habitually, for 25 years, had problems at quarterback. Worse than the Vikings. The Vikings have also had problems with quarterback continuity, but the Browns take the cake. All of that is to say, Baker Mayfield won a playoff game with the Browns in 2020, erased a drought since 1994 was the last time the Browns won a playoff game when Belichick was in the house. So kudos to them. Baker Mayfield has arrived. Then he made the mistake of playing hurt last year. He thought he could be Brett Favre, play hurt, gunsling, and people would love him. The difference is when Brett Favre played hurt and gunslinged over and over again, he was good. Baker Mayfield, gunslinging was bad. That's usually what happens when you play hurt. Favre was the unicorn. He was the outlier. So Mayfield screwed himself, tried to play through injury, bless his heart, again, but it didn't do him any favors. It made the Browns say, no thanks, we're going to get this embattled quarterback named Deshaun Watson. So all of that is to say, Baker Mayfield is not as good as Kirk Cousins. Statistically, go look at any one of his seasons. He's not, flat out, isn't as good as Cousins. Whether you dislike Cousins, think he's overpaid, think he's mediocre, a dink and dunker, he performs better than Baker Mayfield, especially last year when Mayfield was atrocious. If you pull his numbers and mesh them all together, he was down near the bottom of the league with Davis Mills and Taylor Heineke. It probably was an off year, but his trajectory, his progression was stymied by that shitty year he had last year. So I don't know, aside from youth, the promise of the number 1 overall pick, why the Vikings would even entertain this. So my second reason is Cousins, flat out, is a better quarterback for 2022 and probably 2023. And so I don't know why they would take a step back. Here's the other thing. Whatever team is interested in the services of Baker Mayfield, why would they trade for him right now when they know damn well he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next March? They can dictate the deal then. He will have gone through a year off of football probably, unless something happens to Deshaun Watson and the Browns have a kumbaya with Mayfield. But I think teams are going to buy time, and that if they want to get a glimpse of the second act of Baker Mayfield, they just sign him outright. Don't have to monkey with giving up a second, third, fourth rounder, whatever it would cost to get Baker Mayfield, which would be the case this summer. You'd have to trade an asset unless they cut him. It just doesn't add up that teams would pound on the door saying, we want Baker Mayfield, when you can just wait. All you have to do is wait till March, and then you can have a bidding war for Baker Mayfield if you even want to do that in the first place. So any trades from Baker Mayfield, I think it's quiet because you can already see into the future he'll be easier to obtain when he's not under the control of the Browns. So Kwesi's a smart man, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. If he really likes Baker Mayfield, which I doubt that he just loves him, he can just sign him next March. New era, Vikings and Baker Mayfield. You don't have to trade anything. And finally, this one's a little selfish. Hopefully it'll make you giggle. Do you really want to go through the bullshit hoopla of Cousins and Mayfield on the same roster? We know, sure as the crow flies, that Cousins is going to have 1 or 1.5 bad games per season. It's in his DNA, where he looks like shit, can't get anything going, and we're like, oh. It was notably occurred in 2020 twice against the Colts and against the Falcons. And then last year, I don't know, he at the beginning of December, he slowed down. I don't know if he had an absolute trashy game like he's had for the Vikings in year past. But in those events, let's say week 3, who is that? Playing the Bears. U.S. Bank Stadium. Cousins goes 11 for 25, 111 yards, 2 interceptions. What you're going to hear is for people calling for Baker Mayfield. And do you really want to endure that mess because a guy has a bad game? If he was less than $18 million, if he was chilling on the free agent wire, get him for $5 million, I would explore this because then bada bing, you have the best backup quarterback in football. But to sign him for $18 million, trade for him for $18 million, and then go through a Cousins or Mayfield vacillation every week, no thanks. Now, I'll eat my words if Cousins comes out and looks like garbage with the new system, but I don't think that he will. That's what I got for today. I like Baker Mayfield, believe it or not. I like his bravado. I like his arm. I just don't think he fits on this summer's version of the Vikings. Skol, baby.